welcome to Chat Operand. Glad you all could make it. Night got an interesting little tale. Came across a post on TikTok. Gentleman from California said he was leaving California due to all of the crime. And you don't want to be in a situation where there's a whole lot of crime in your neighborhood, because his comment was, "Hey, you know, I'm a working class guy, and I can't send my kids to the corner store because the way right now they're penalizing people. People are going nuts. They're going in, they're robbing stores, they're beating up the clerks, and I can't even send my kids or take my kids like to the corner ice cream store, just because there's just so much crime, and I don't understand why this is being allowed to happen. I don't understand why it's occurring. I didn't vote for these things to happen, so I'm really thinking about leaving California. And first off, I don't know all the politics of California, right? I don't know, who they voted in, what's going on with all the laws, right? But I do know that a lot of people are leaving California. I know a lot of businesses are leaving California. And one of the things, that I've really been cognizant of, um, is that when these companies and these people are leaving, these high urban areas, and they're moving to um, these more rural areas, or areas that don't have the crime and don't have all of the issues, in the big cities, it's it's a culture shock, and they get to these small towns, or whatever, or even some of the larger towns in these rural areas, or these southern states, or wherever. And they get there, and part of that culture shock is, why isn't this place like where I left? Whether it's, well, how come this place doesn't have a great pizza joint, or why doesn't this place have a great Italian place, or why doesn't this place have a Thai restaurant, and it's like, okay, well, because this place isn't that populous, and that wouldn't really, the people here aren't really going to, patronize that place, right? And then it's like, they wonder why the politics are different. They wonder why people are more traditional. They wonder why, and then they go to try to change the place that they move to. And I've got friends all over the South, more specifically the Southeast, and Alabama, Georgia, Arkansas, Tennessee, Missouri, Mississippi, Kentucky, those kind of the Carolinas, and there's a lot of people moving to those areas, and they try to turn the place that they're moving to into the place that they left. So when this guy posted this video, I kind of stitched it, and I was like, "Hey, look." And it wasn't directed at the guy who posted the video, right? He's going through enough. I was just making general commentary. And, I made the comment that, hey, look, I'm sorry you're going through this, because it sucks. Your family shouldn't have to go through that, especially with your kids. They should be able to go to the corner store. They should be able to get ice cream. You should be able to take your family into a store and not have to worry about somebody's going to just fly in, beat up the clerks, and steal all the stuff, or whatever's going on there. And I get that feeling of fear. I don't have to deal with that where I'm at, but I can empathize with that, because I would not want to be in that position. Wholeheartedly would not want to be in that position. So, expressing that concern up front, but then I said, look, a piece of advice, for not for the gentleman, but just addressing it for people who move from these types of areas. And I specifically mentioned California because this guy was coming from California, and a lot of these people are fleeing California. I said, when you move to these areas, and you realize it's not like where you left, be sure that you don't bring California with you. Understand that these are small towns. Understand that these are uh, smaller towns, if not small towns. Understand that these are rural areas or more traditional areas. You're moving into conservative areas, um, for the most part. For the most part, and I'm not saying that you have to be that, but understand you're leaving this other area for a reason. Don't try to make the new place like the old place, because then you end up with the same problems of the old place, right? Um, and that's just not a good thing. So, you left it for a reason. Leave that reason there. Don't don't come to the new place and be like, oh well, I want to change it because you know we had this there and we don't have that here, so let's change this place to be like that. And it's like, no, nobody here wants that, right? Don't try to make the new place like the old place. Now, that's not to say that by any stretch of the imagination, and I address this point, it's not to say by any stretch of the imagination that the new place is perfect, right? It's not to say that the small towns are perfect or the smaller towns or the rural areas are perfect. I would never try to make that claim, right? Every place has its own set of issues and quirks and things that can be improved upon. And I firmly believe that. Um, and I'm not saying don't address and try to make improvements. But when you go to a new place, from fleeing from an old place because of issues, whether it be politics, whether it be society, whether it be crime, whatever reason you've left the old place, not just because, it's for a change of pace or whatever, but, especially in those socio-political reasons, right? Um, we're fleeing socio-political reasons. Let's be very specific. When you are fleeing a place because you're fleeing socio-political reasons and socio-political issues, right? Um, don't don't try to change the new place based on socio-political issues of that other place. Go into it with a an objectively clean slate approach, right? And look at the new place and say, okay, this place has X issue. I'm not trying to change it to be like old place, right? Um, I'm trying to change it for the betterment of new place, but solely based on the merits and the circumstances of the new place. Let's say it's taxes, for example, right? Let's say it has to do something with taxes, right? Let's say it has to do with tax management, right? Local city council's not managing taxes properly, right? So you don't want to make it like the old place. I'm not saying you can't have some decent ideas or experiences, but don't make it like the old place, right? Objectively look at the situation and implement corrective actions based on your new place. And that got a couple of people really triggered. Don't tell me what to do. Don't tell me how to live my life. People should be able to do what they want. And I'm like, oh, so you're telling me then that the people from other places who flee socio-political issues should come into my hometown and try to tell me how to live my life based off their old place that they left and was terrible. So I should let them come in and ruin my hometown. Kind of hypocritical there, don't you think? And I'm not trying to say that all those other places are bad and that my hometown is perfect, right? I've heard a lot of horror stories all over the place, both in person and reading the news and seeing it on the internet about people who come from these other places. Most of it's people who relocate because of jobs, not because they're fleeing socio-political issues. So I want to make that very clear, right? Most of it has been people who are moving because of their jobs. It's horror stories because they're like, well, why don't we have a Thai restaurant, right, or whatever. and this place sucks because of X, and or they're like extremely rude. Uh, because like in the South specifically, people are super friendly. That's just a thing. I'm sorry, it is. It's people in the South are just super friendly. They say hi, and people from a lot of other areas don't. They're not like that. They don't get that. They don't get that whole "Hey, how you doing?" and throw up a hand, and they just look at you like, "Mind your own fucking business. Who are you talking to?" And that is a thing. I've personally experienced that. Um, and it's really disheartening that that thing occurs. And I personally didn't know it was a thing um, to such a great degree. I mean, it was a thing for the occasional person, right? Because people are just different. Um, but I didn't know it was that thing to such a great degree. Now, the reason I say that is because there's a military base close to where I live, so we get people from all over, all walks of life, all over the world. And since we have, and they don't act like that. So let me be very clear: military people don't act like that. They never act like, oh, well, that place I came from last, how come this place isn't like that place? Right? Military people don't do that. That is not a thing with them. Now, they may take experiences and say, we could make this, here's some ideas, but they never, ever, ever, right? They never go, well, this place isn't like that place. This place, blah, blah, blah. Everybody's got their opinions about the new place, and they may say it sucks, but they say it sucks just because it sucks, not because it sucks because that other place was just fantastic. They'll just say, this place sucks. And I've heard military people because our place is kind of rural, not super rural, but it's kind of rural. And they'll say, man, this place has got nothing going on. And it's like, okay, look, there's a large city, a half hour north. Go there. Well, it's not that big. Well, okay, it's not fucking LA. I get it. It's not it's not Nashville. Nashville's pretty big for around here. It's not Nashville. It's not Miami. I get it. You're gonna have to deal with that. Well, yeah, and then of course once you expose them to a few things that there's actually to do, they're like, oh, I didn't know that. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, there's actually, you know, dinner houses, and we got some of the best food, and there's clubs and there's plays and there's music, there's bands, there's all sorts of really cool shit to do. There's theater, you know, museums, there's racetracks, there's all this stuff. I mean, there's stuff. You just gotta understand what you're looking for and what you're asking for. And uh but they never act like it's terrible because of the old place. It was just fun, just like listening to some of those people. Don't tell me what to do because blah blah blah. It's like, all right, I'm not gonna let other people come into my hometown and tell me that it should be like their old hometown that they fled because it sucked. So it's just really interesting. I think it's funny. Um, and I guess I've never really paid much attention to this. And maybe okay boomer me, old boomer me, even though I'm not a boomer. But maybe I guess boomer me just never really understood that part of the internet and how negative. And I'm kind of diatribing off of something, not that was that massive, but that's just, I guess, a kind of a key point because I just made some commentary, right? And this couple people who I mean, they were really like, I'm not going to use the word triggered, but they were really upset. They were because I had said that. They were really upset. How dare you tell us what to do, and we'll do what we want, and you just keep your mouth shut when somebody comes to your hometown and and screws up your hometown, blah blah blah. And I'm like, why are you so upset? Why did this evoke such a reaction from you when I'm just saying, hey, look, just be cognizant of the fact that you're moving to a totally different culture than you're used to, and it's going to take some getting used to. And please don't try to make it like your old place. I've heard horror stories about this. So please don't try to do that thing, right? And they were just a couple of them just very upset. Now, I've got mostly positive comments from people who are going, yeah, I've experienced that. People come to my hometown and tried that stuff, and it's just horrible experience. And I also got a couple of Californians who were like, yeah, I left California because it sucked, and I moved to the South. And yeah, I'm never going back. It's been such a blessing. Southern people are so friendly. It's so nice down here. Or, hey, I live in California. It sucks. I'm leaving as soon as I can. I've just got to find a spot. I'm hoping to move to the South because I hear it's really friendly. Yeah, I know it's got its own set of issues, but I'm not trying to make it like California because I'm trying to leave this place. So, there were a lot of people who understood, but, the mentality of how dare you say something that doesn't coincide with, and I wasn't rude about it at all. Because I believe in trying to say things. If you catch my prior video about balance, I believe in trying to say things that are balanced and nuanced, and you have to understand where the other side is coming from, right? And I firmly believe that. You have to understand, not that you have to agree, and I made that point, but you have to understand where the opposite side of the argument or discussion or the other side of the emotion, right, is coming from. Yeah, I'm a little dehydrated tonight, guys. I got to suck on some water. So anyway, so it was just an interesting post. It was just an interesting time trying to parse through kind of what was going on, with people's heads, in that respect. And have any of you ever really been through that kind of scenario where, you've said something, you thought it was just like a halfway decent comment. It wasn't anything in particular. It wasn't like this huge, big, massive issue. And you just thought you were making some commentary. I mean, nothing big, but somehow somebody got like totally, just absolutely bent out of shape. I remember the first time I got on TikTok. Yes, I'm on TikTok. I like getting on there and just scrolling through some of the views. I've got a couple of good favorite people that I follow. But anyway, first time I got on TikTok, a guy was making some posts about Dungeons and Dragons, which I still play D&D. And he made I can't remember the exact comment that he made. I can't remember the exact comment he made. He was making a comment about something about the way the game is played. I wish I could remember. But I simply, stitched the video and was like, hey, I really don't agree with this. And I stated why I didn't agree with it. It was just a simple, easy comment. Nothing egregious. I didn't get bent. I wasn't one of those that was, listen to this idiot, blah, blah. I'm not one of those, right? I'm not one of those. And if I do say don't listen to this person, it's usually followed with very specific factual reasons. And I'm not over the top about it. I never I never dogged the original creator or any of that kind of good stuff. The dude got bent. He got bent. Came into my comment section, which was fine. No big deal. Well, what did you mean by that? I got real defensive, and then I was just like, dude, it was just my opinion. Well, why do you say that? I was like, all right, whatever. And after about 4 or 5 back and forth, the guy just would not drop it. And eventually it was like, dude, okay, whatever. Look, believe what you want. I just made a comment, but all right. But anyway, look, it's my bedtime. Oh, well, you don't want to have a dialogue. I thought we'd have a good debate. I'm like, no, I'm not here to have a debate. you posted up something I didn't agree with. I just made some commentary for my feed about how I didn't agree with it. That wasn't an invitation for this lengthy debate till frickin' midnight or 1 o'clock on a work night, and just wasn't a thing. So I'm sorry if I didn't, if I didn't inflate your ego by debating with you, but I'm not that guy who's going to debate just to inflate your ego. I'm just not doing that. I'm just not doing that. Uh, just not doing that. Not an ego deflator, but have you guys ever really have you ever gotten that where somebody you didn't necessarily like to try to debate anything? You just made some commentary or something, and like the other person was just like, "Oh yeah, this is fighting words," and blah blah blah. Um, as another example, another guy was commenting on another D. This was another totally different D&D group, and he basically said that, see if I can remember this. When he basically said that, uh, D&D isn't story based. It isn't driven for the story. Is what he said. He said some variation of that, and I was like, what? What? Since when? And I'm like, D&D has been story driven since its inception. But I didn't phrase it like my face just looked. I didn't phrase it with that emotion, and I was like, I popped into the comments, and I was like, hey, look, I hear you, but I disagree. I've been playing D&D since I was 9 years old, and D&D's been story driven since its inception. Every module that was written by TSR back when TSR owned it told a story. It's always been story driven. I disagree. Think about the Greyhawk campaign worlds. Think about the um um shoot. I can't remember the name of the other campaign worlds off the top of my head, but the old campaign worlds. Ravenloft. I mean, they were all story based. I mean, the whole world was a freaking story, right? And the dude went just uh, now I've been playing the game since I was 8 too, and da 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 da. He 45 comments later just diatribing about how my opinion was worthless, and how to dare I say that, and where was my sources, and dude, I was just like, hey bro, okay, you're taking your opinion way too seriously, and you know you're the moderator of the group, so I'll just shut up and go over here and not speak in this group anymore, um because bro, it ain't that important. It ain't that important. Um, I believe in being able to, and express an opinion without people getting so excited about it. Without people getting so excited about it. But maybe that's just me. Maybe that's just me. Maybe people like to think that social media is the place to get excited, throw down the gauntlet on a simple comment, and just beat the holy ever loving piss out of each other. Uh, Hypothetically, or I should say, figuratively, not hypothetically, figuratively, and just go to town on that kind of stuff. Hey, hold on a second, guys. I'll be right back. All right, I made it. All right, I can light this candle real quick. Probably not. That suck. Oh no, it lit. Woohoo! Ooh, candle lit. Damn, I'm good. So get this crap. Get this. Uh, my children, adult children, so they're not kids. They're adults. They're uh they're mid to late 20s, right? Well, actually, I should say my daughter, um, and her fiance. Dudes, they went to a LAN party last night, right? Right? A LAN party. Now, technically, it's not a LAN party because they're not really landing. Everything's on the internet, but just like a LAN party, man. And I'll explain to you here in a second. But first, I got to say, I am both jealous and mad props. First off, jealous because I've already, as you can already tell, you know, like I said, this is kind of a rural area. Well, when I grew up here, it was a very rural area. And by very rural, I mean, I remember when the McDonald's was being built, and it was one of 3 restaurants that was here. And that was about it. We had 3 restaurants, 1 grocery store, 1 hardware store, and that was it. I mean, besides the schools, post office, and shit like that. But there was nothing here. Nothing. No Walmart. No, none of that. None of that. And the grocery store was a tiny little grocery store, not like a big Kroger or Publix or any of that stuff. It was like a little tiny grocery store. And so like my family didn't even have cable. As a matter of fact, cable wasn't even available where I lived. That's how rural it was, right? So like, and of course, I'm of the age where internet wasn't a thing. How computers weren't a thing until I was in middle school, and then I didn't get my first computer till I was in high school. I was like 15, and it was a Commodore VIC 20. So right, so LAN parties weren't a thing. Um, but I didn't even get into computers until 98, till I was 28. Right, and then I had kids, family, and all that kind of good stuff, and it just LAN parties weren't a thing. So I never got to come up with LAN parties and game and all that kind of good stuff. So jealous, jealous. I didn't get the LAN party, damn it. Kids are LAN partying and shit. But mad props, right? Because like nowadays everybody's doing the online thing, which I have no problem with. I'm an online gamer myself sometimes. I'm not as huge on it simply because I like single player games more. Um, One, because finding someone my age, and I know they're out there. Don't mistake what I'm saying. I know they're out there, but finding somebody my age who likes the kind of games I play, uh, is a little more difficult. And honestly, most of the games that I like to play are single player offline games anyway. So that's kind of mostly the thing. I don't do shooters. I don't do FPS. I'm a big RPG guy simply because D&D way back in the day. I think you already get that I'm a D&D nerd. And also, I don't know if you can see the map in the background. So Skyrim kind of gives you an idea, right? Um, but uh, them like going to actually sit at a friend's house with a bunch of computers right there and gaming, they get that added social contact, right? So when you gaming online is great. I take nothing from that, right? I'm not taking anything away from that. Um, I am a believer that the social impact that you get from gaming online is real. I firmly 100% believe that, right? Um, However, nothing can replace the additional social impact you get from being there face to face with a person, right? Now, let me explain. Um, for my entire life, I worked on site. Here, about 2 years ago, I started working full time from home. Uh, And I will tell you that I miss working from the office for a couple of reasons. Um, and I work in IT, so I'm not the old boomer type who's got a computer's bad. No, as you can tell, right? But I'm not a computer's bad type guy. However, I am a kind of an intuitive, inspirational problem solver. I feed off of other people's energy when I'm trying to solve problems. So when we're in a session or when there's something that's got to come up or when there's something that needs to be worked, I prefer to be face to face in a room with other people because I can feed off body language. I spark off their energy that pumps me up even more. It gets my creative juices flowing more. And it ramps up my effectiveness that much higher than it already is. And I'm a good problem solver, uh, just naturally by myself. But when you get me in that room where I can feed off somebody else's energy and we just kind of kick back and forth, I am that much better. It increases my abilities by a good 50 to 75%. Just being able to feed off somebody else's energy. I just get that intuitive spark when I can see their body language, right? When I'm not just hearing the words, but I can see their body language. And you can't get that through a camera. You cannot get that through a Zoom call. You cannot get that through a Teams call. You just can't. You just can't do it. It just doesn't exist. Um, the other thing is also I'm a pacer when I'm problem solving. So pacing in that room back and forth while still being able to see them and feed off that energy and talk to them and engage is a thing for me. So knowing that about myself and knowing that people feed off of each other's energy, playing in that same room as they are with their friends, man, they've got to be just getting like super pumped, right? Well, when they came back last night, I talked to them this morning, and they said it was just off the chain. They said they had the greatest night. They said it was like one of the most amazing gaming times they've had ever. They were playing, I think they said Dead by Daylight. And so my daughter's fiance and then one of the other guys that was there, they're not good with scary games. The other guy more so, he was like very scared. And so they were both screaming like most of the time because of the jump scares and all that other kind of good stuff. So, and they were feeding off of each other's negative aspects of the game, feeding off of each other's fear, right? And that's a thing. You feed off of the energy of those people that are around you. So knowing that was going on was just absolutely awesome for them to get to experience, And of course, then of course, they had the people who they went there with had they'd set up some coolers with some drinks, non-alcoholic, because there were some kids there. They, sodas or energy drinks or whatever they had, and they had set up another table with a bunch of food, and they had some kind of TV game called Jack in the Box, I think she said. I can't remember the name of it. But they did that. Then they played Dead by Daylight. They played Overwatch. They played a couple other games. But just hearing how excited they were when they were telling me about it today, just hearing how excited they were was just so absolutely just off the chain fun for me to hear. Even though I didn't get to play it, I was jealous. I was jealous. I'm not gonna lie. I would like to play. Of course, I would never invade my kids' time with their friends. I'm not that guy. But it was so cool, so freaking cool, and I'm so happy that they. I'm so happy, and I mean this 100%, bottom of my heart. I'm so happy that they got to go play in that scenario, in that type of environment, um, knowing that they got to experience that kind of energy, and it was a great takeaway. It was a great takeaway from that. Just such a dope evening, and they're doing it again tonight. So as I'm sitting here recording this, uh, they are again, but they're not going to be there that long tonight. But still, just another good, another good time gaming, eating food, and doing some other good stuff. So I think that's going to be really, really good for them. And if you ever get a chance, uh, anybody who's watching this, if you're a gamer, if you ever get a chance, go do that. Like, hook it up, take your whatever you play, Xbox, PlayStation, PC, whatever you play, man. Take some time, take some time, throw all your crap all in one of your friends' living rooms or whatever. Doesn't matter how you do it. Just do it once. If that's all you can get it is once, do it once. Throw all your kids out in the front yard if you got kids, or however you need to do it, right? Or hell, even if your kids are old enough to play, let them play. Let them take turns. Just do it. Just do it for a different change of pace. Even though you're all going to be online, it doesn't freaking matter, right? Even though you're all going to be online anyway. But just feeding off of each other's energy is just super cool. Let me see. So the other thing, third thing. So none of you all know this, obviously, because it's only my second video, but where I'm sitting is actually in a studio that I'm building. Not quite done yet, but this is actually Whitehall Studios. So we're building a studio. This is Studio 1. And today I went and had to redo some of the wiring for the studio. The AC isn't installed yet, so I don't get to do any recording or any streaming during the day because it's just too hot. But I've got to redo some of the wiring to support the AC that we're going to install, and then the other studio on the other side. Today I had to go get I had to relocate some of the existing wiring on the other side of the building, and I had to go get some additional wiring in a junction box so we can rewire how that's going to work. The junction box is for the AC unit that I'm going to be installing. So hopefully the studio will be completely up and running here in the next couple of weeks, and we will be putting out more videos. You'll see Chat Operand putting out more. You will see Neopont's Hammer, where we're going to be doing a tabletop RPG such as Dungeons and Dragons, Pathfinder, any of those. But it's just going to be world building. It'll be game agnostic. We're going to be talking about world building. And there'll be a couple of other channels who will be broadcasting out of here. So we're going to be supporting a total of four channels. There's Chat Operand, there's Neopont's Hammer, there's The Tribe Gaming. Then there's going to be a ministry channel that will be broadcasting out of here. Yeah, that's the four right now that we've got lined up in the pipes to be broadcasting out of Whitehall Studios. So look for those. Whenever we get them all up and running, we'll put links for those for anybody who's interested in whatever genre of channel that you would like to peruse and listen to. We're also going to get Chat Operand on podcast. So we're actually going to get that on a podcast stream here pretty soon. Chat Operand will also be working on Twitch as soon as I can get the streaming set up. Right now we're having trouble with streaming. Whenever I go to actually set up the stream, the bandwidth just isn't there. Don't know why. During the day, early during the day, I can stream during the day, but whenever I go to stream later at night, the bandwidth just drops out of the bottom. So I've got to talk to my ISP and figure out why we're having streaming issues later. Because that's when I have the most time to stream. During the day, I'm usually too busy working on the studio or working on other projects around the property that I've got. So the best time I have to actually do any streaming is later in the evening, but then stream falls out of the bottom. I may have to adjust that and actually stream during the morning time. I'm not sure if it's just all of the traffic in the neighborhood because of the cable internet. We have rural cable, so it's not that great. So I'm not sure if it's that or what's going on. But right now we're going on 40 minutes, and that's going to be quite a few gigs to upload. So I'm going to gonna wrap this up for tonight. This was just kind of a throw together video. This isn't technically episode 2. This is more like technically episode 1.5. Still gonna have episode 2 for perception. I'll get that one out next week. Should be Thursday. We'll be broadcasting those on Thursdays, so I should have that one out Thursday. But thanks for listening. Thanks for attending my broadcast. Just got to rant a little bit, just tell you about my day. And you all have a good one. Please stay tuned for episode 2 for Chat Operand. And you all have a good one.